Endra, a seasoned ex-general and commandant, was in the war room encircled by holographic screens that revealed the destruction throughout their domains. Stress-filled scales flickered as she observed another planet plummet, its fortifications breaking down under the pressure of Vargo's desperate bombardments. Lines from battles she had fought in were etched across her face, signs of innumerable conflicts, but she had never experienced the nagging shadow of certain failure quite like this. They had attempted every strategy against the Vargo, but their arsenal adapted to any new tactic frighteningly fast. As though they foresee every action we take, mumbled Tar beside her, the youthful sealer tactician. His large, glistening eyes revealed the despair many younger officers felt. Regardless of how we reposition, it puts them ahead of the game. They're playing with us, Endra. She clenched her hands, knowing that Tar wasn't wrong. The Daily Detail contained inaccurate reports. The brutality of the Vargo assaults was undeniable. They struck unexpectedly, bypassing planetary shields as if they weren't even there. Their forces, nothing more than illusions, were efficiently coordinated across all divisions, moving with brutal precision. The coalition's resistance, in contrast, seemed pathetic. More lives were lost in each conflict. What morale they had was drained with every defeat. Civilizations were uprooted, fleeing in overcrowded ships made easy targets for the Vargo raiders. The leaders of the Allies convened crisis meetings, often ending in acrimonious arguments. Several species leaders began seeking improbable answers from one another until one finally broke the unspoken truth and confirmed what they all feared. They could not win this war. One leader, almost alone, finally said what others would not. Everyone else must acknowledge Earth, he whispered. The name hung in the air, strange and unfamiliar. It was odd, humanity was fresh to the galactic stage. Their knowledge and technology were still considered basic by many measures, yet there were rumors, whispers of their perseverance, their exceptional capacity for innovation under pressure. Humanity had yet to prove itself on the stage of interstellar war, and yet whispers persisted of devastation, of unpredictability. One leader believed that humanity might be their last chance. Andra did not respond. The decision was made: contact Earth. She was cautious, skeptical, but the Vargo were closing in on one of their final strongholds. There wasn't much left to lose, she agreed. The transmission was sent in a humble, urgent tone, a request for aid she never imagined making. She expected days of silence. Instead, a brief message arrived: "We're headed out 2 weeks." The humans arrived in their vessels. By galactic standards, they were rough, unpolished, built for longevity, not elegance, and Endra was concerned. Her people's sleek fighters, their advanced cloaking, their sealer fleets, the humans had none of that. But then the soldiers disembarked, calm, disciplined, exuding a quiet confidence that none of her troops had displayed in months. Battle-scarred veterans, grizzled, unfazed, and ready, they joined the coalition with unreadable expressions and unwavering posture. But what stunned Endra most were the animals, massive, powerful creatures with intense stares, vigilant, obedient. They stood alongside the humans as if they understood the stakes. Endra found herself whispering, "What are the human counterparts?" A tall human commander answered her without hesitation. "They are war dogs, combat-trained for reconnaissance and discovery. They are soldiers just like us." Endra studied the dogs, their sharp eyes, their perfect discipline. Not machines, real, breathing, living, fierce, and devoted. The room's tension shifted. The humans radiated quiet assurance, a tangible bond between soldiers and dogs. It wasn't obedience, it was kinship, discipline, faith. For the first time in months, hope flickered in her heart. She turned to Tar, who gazed with the same wonder. She allowed herself a small, resolute smile. "We might still have a shot," she whispered. The humans and their dogs were assigned to frontline positions. Strange, unproven, but there they stood with silent determination, ready. No guarantees, no promises, only knowledge and action. The Allied camp buzzed with cautious hope when human transports landed. They sparked a mix of curiosity and disbelief. There were no gleaming machines, no ornamental gear like the X-Lax's armor, just functional worn equipment, dented, scratched, proven, and beside them the dogs, poised, purposeful, four-legged soldiers. Some aliens scoffed, thought them mascots, pets, until the demonstration began. A sleek black dog Ghost was ordered forward, nose to the ground, searching. He identified a hidden explosive in seconds. With a low growl, he alerted nearby troops. Alien commanders watched in awe. Humans and dogs moved in perfect harmony, predicting each other's actions. The handler trusted his dog to protect him, to detect threats he could not. Endra could not look away. Tar stood frozen beside her, fascinated. Humans explained the different functions. Scouts for camouflaged enemies like the Zealcott, detectors for those sensors missed, protectors, retrievers, loyal to the last breath. Endra, a veteran warrior, was stunned. She approached Captain Reynolds, her gaze flicking between him and the German shepherd at his side. It stared at her, fierce, watchful. Endra felt oddly exposed. "They are amazing," she said softly, "but why not use technology?" Reynolds scratched the shepherd's head with quiet affection. Because they're more than tools, they're partners. They see things even our best tech can't, that's the difference. He nodded to his dog, who stood and stepped forward, eyes never leaving Endra's. She had to fight the instinct to step back. Yes, Reynolds said calmly, that calm assurance, that's what keeps us going when the odds aren't in our favor. Tar finally asked what they both were thinking. What about stealth? How do they handle cloaking? Reynolds's face tightened. They don't just rely on sight, they hear what we can't, smell fear, sense the enemy before we ever know they're there. The allies started to see it. These weren't just dogs. Ghost and others like him moved with perfect synchronicity. The skepticism melted, replaced with awe. A foreign officer turned to his commander. We underestimated them and their companions, he admitted softly. When the demonstrations ended, Reynolds addressed the leaders. He stood tall, dogs at his side. We didn't come to watch or give advice, he said. We came to fight. These dogs, they're not here for show. They'll be on the front lines because the Vargo may have tech, but they don't understand loyalty. They don't know what it means to trust something more than a machine. A hush fell over the camp. Some stared at the dogs with newfound respect because this was something no species could replicate. A bond born of hardship, a silent oath between species. Endra stepped forward, voice steady. Then let's see what you and your companions can do, Captain. We will not hold back. Reynolds gave a single, solid nod. Good, otherwise we wouldn't have come. The air was charged with energy. People and dogs moved to position. Alien eyes followed. A strange hope grew. Maybe these odd warriors from Earth would be the turning point. The battlefield loomed, a storm of chaos and shadows, but this time they would not face it alone. Reynolds started to interfere with the Vargo's most valuable advantage, stealth. Bravo, search, he commanded in a quiet voice. Bravo dropped his nose to the floor while moving. A few moments later, with silently deadly focus, he hesitated, then pointed and barked furiously, his muzzle aimed at a group of rocks. The presence of the enemy was clearly observed. The soldiers immediately took their places, firearms at the ready. The Vargo appeared in a matter of seconds from their cloaked positions, unexpectedly revealed. The dog's remarkable capacity to locate them changed everything. There was a brief, fierce skirmish, but now the coalition had the advantage. Bravo's alert had provided the assailants with valuable moments to get ready, saving lives. Word spread swiftly across dozens of units. Other dog teams started, even in the rain, to recognize ambushes and spot traps. The Vargo, once stalking the battlefield without consequence, now found themselves vulnerable, defensive. The unseen warriors formerly feared were reduced to visible prey in a desperate situation. Their advantage disappeared with each engagement. Tar led a squad in one sector alongside Sergeant Carter, a human, and Shadow, his dog. The big jet-black dog lay calm atop the air conditioner, a commanding presence, his eyes sharp as razors. Shadow crouched low, scanning the intense region with focus. Carter gave a silent signal. Shadow darted forward, his ears twitching, moving quickly through a field full of garbage. He stopped, nose twitching. A deep warning growl followed. Shadow had found something. Carter whispered, he found the Vargo minefield, a location where coalition forces would have walked right into disaster. Carter felt a wave of thankfulness and relief, giving the order for the team to carefully avoid the danger. What would have been an extremely damaging loss was now a narrow escape. The commanders of the coalition knew that the tide had finally turned. With the humans and their loyal companions by their side, there was hope, not just for survival but for victory. The Vargo's reign of terror would soon come to an end, outmatched not by superior technology, but by the unbreakable bond between two species united in purpose.